Okay.
新平がこれを見てるってことは、私はもうこの世におらんってことです。
Ah, a message from the dead.
無駄なセリフ言いたいだけやろ。
A very cliche indeed.
一緒に映ってみよら。この辺かな。ちょい左ちゃう？
Okay.
あ、ちなみにどっちが私かわかる？ちょっと、今私が喋っとんねん。そんなんどっちでもええか。どっちも私やもん。
Same line in the video. Okay.
詳しい話は私の影から聞いてほしいんやけど、私自身の言葉で直接メッセージを残したくて。
The problem is the shadow doesn't remember most of this.
事の始まりはしおりちゃん。
Okay. It all started with Shiori, so I guess I have to mention this. I'm a bit tired, so I'm gonna try my best. If the discussion end up being short, then that's just because I'm being tired, that's all. That's the real Shiori. Mio in the back. This is when they meet the shadow for the first time, right? Based on Mio's recollection. Yep. But it seems like this shadow is already kind of off in a way, right? Ah, stepped into the water. A familiar face. See you all on the 24th.
お姉ちゃん、しんちゃんのこと好きなくせに。なあれか。ボケ、私が先に風呂入る。この子。何考えてんねん、私、あんなやつ。私は小舟牛を自分家に帰ってきて何が悪いんや。
Interesting.
え？あんたの影やろ。まあええか。あんたのことは後回しや。なんでついてくんねん。あんたがついてきたんやろ。
Ushio's taking this very nonchalantly. Also like the fact that the shadow is wearing black and the real one is wearing white. There's a figure in the windows.
私ここに来たことあるような気する。
I guess that's the shadow's own memory. So what I'm getting at is like that's a okay then. Some of the action is kind of stiff, but there's some good cuts, and then there's some cuts. So the shadow has come to the conclusion that it is not human. So yeah, Ushio's shadow, I guess, isn't self-conscious of the fact that it is a shadow, because once she took over, or at least once she became Ushio. accepts her.
せやろ。オリジナルを消せばコピーがオリジナルになる。消すって、つまり殺す？あ
Whoa.
んたは私が死なんと消えてまうんか？そういう感覚だけが頭の中にある。普通やったら本当を殺さなあかんのやろな。
Interesting. Because we know so far the objective of the shadow is to kill the person that they took over. But now we also know why it is significant for them. Okay then.
どっちも私やもん。
We're both me. We are one and the same. And the shadow cries, showing emotion.
私思い出したよ。
Okay, good, good, good.
力も戻った。
Powers?
記憶のデータから過去を再生してみる。
How the real Ushio died?
行こう。7月21日のプライベートビーチへ。
Or just literally go back in time. But not really going back in time, just more like seeing the past, not actually going back in the past.
これは過去の映像や。
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Ooh, those splashing sound effects are not good.
考えがあんねん。これになれる？よっと。私は貝のネックレスに変身して、本物のネックレスは外してプールバッグの中に直した。
That's big info. Okay then. Because I was asking like the significance of the necklace. Now we're getting more into it.
しおりちゃん？
新平、見えたか？しおりちゃんがどうなったか。いや、
Even they don't know.
誰も見てないとこ
Ah,
再現できやん。
okay. It only shows what she has seen. And there it is.
私。
待てと言うとるやろ。
Whoa.
不良品。
Faulty. And explicitly showing the eye. How are there tears in the ocean? That was very stiff. Not good.
24日の夏祭りからみんなを救う。これでちょっと明かり返せるかな？
あ、返せる。返せるよ。
So finally accepts it.
まんまとしおりちゃんと入れ替わったっちゅうわけかよ。この手で殺してやりたい。
Man, there's a lot of budgetary cuts in this episode. I wonder what's going on with the production.
何をやるべきやったって？あれからずいぶん探したぞ。 もう逃がさん。
That's the mother. With the missing eye. Oh shit. This is a problem. Kind of left a mark on him. Oh, that's the end of the episode. I'm just gonna start with the negatives first, and then I'm just gonna go with the positives later on with the review. So, first things first. I think this is the first episode where I truly felt like the animation was suffering and that it didn't really make an impact at all to me. Not to say that the animation is bad, but there's a lot of moments where I feel where it genuinely does feel like the animation was stiff. It was a bit rough and kind of rushed a bit. Now, what I will compliment is the fact that most of the character models are consistent throughout this entire episode, which is usually a problem when an anime production starts going down, which is when the character models started to be, flimsy and weird. So luckily they are still consistent with that. It's just that the animation is just stiff all over the place, especially when it comes to like the underwater scenes. Like, you're underwater, you are beneath the water, there's physics involved, and you're just presenting them in a very stiff manner to me that doesn't look right at all. And it bothered me a lot. And there's a lot of like moments like this where the water's not even moving, which I guess I can kind of give that a pass for like creative an artistic choice, because this is a video, they're just looking at the past, I guess. But again, it still feels kind of stiff. And this could be an issue and something that should be worrying. That I should be worried about. I was about to say something that is wary to me, but then I said worrying. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I was a bit tired today. But it is worrying to me because we are 9 episodes in and we start to see some cracks within the production. And this being a 24 episode show, yeah. It's not the worst thing in the world. This can just easily be one episode that is kind of being left, that is kind of being sacrificed for later episodes that will potentially get better animation, because obviously summertime rendering can in fact produce some good animation, especially in the past. It's just that with this episode, it definitely feels like they are kind of cutting a few things here and there. But that's it when it comes to my criticism. It's mostly on the production side of things. Story wise, I expected more. I don't hate it. It's fine. It's good. I get the information that we need. But I guess it's just the presentation is lacking because of the production, that the story kind of felt unimpactful to me, especially considering this is when we are supposed to be seeing Ushio, the real Ushio, dying, and then this is the scene that we get. Yeah. But I will say that the final scene of the episode, where Heine, or the mother, shows up, is definitely interesting, and it definitely builds up the anticipation for the next episode. But I guess that's pretty much it. Let's actually discuss the episode, and let's go back to the beginning. So we start the episode by continuing from the previous episode, which is when Ushio well, Shadow Ushio opens up the phone, and then we see what is on the video, and that is the real Ushio talking with the fake Ushio, or the Shadow Ushio. So now we learn that both Ushios have actually made contact and actually worked together in the past, and now it's a journey of trying to make sure the Shadow Ushio figures out and remembers her memories, which at the end of the episode we did manage to see her regain her memories, although it is, I guess, I don't know, we kind of set up that Shadow Ushio doesn't know who she is, like there's definitely a chunk of her memory missing, and then we spend the entire episode watching we didn't even spend the entire episode. No, we just watched Shadow Ushio looked at the video, and then after looking at the video, I guess Shadow Ushio suddenly figures out and remembers her memories, which, okay, I guess we gotta keep the story going forward. So now Shadow Ushio remembers her memories. How? I guess? Because watching the video, I guess? But sure, okay, let's move on. She remembers her powers, and then she goes back in time. Not really goes back in time. Sees a memory of the past and transports Shinpei and So with her as well. But I'm kind of jumping all over the place, so let's actually go back again. We see the real Shiori, at least how she would act, very, very different from the Shiori that we know so far, which is the Shadow Shiori, that is all traumatized and kind of depressed. But this is the part where it gets interesting when it comes to Shadow Ushio's backstory. So Shadow Ushio copies the real Ushio, but then she runs away. Now, the real kicker is Shadow Ushio doesn't know that she is actually a shadow, or at least she isn't fully aware that she is a shadow, because she doesn't know, like, her powers, her abilities, the fact that if you touch the shadow, it will affect you and not your physical form, and whatever. It kind of makes me want to know more about her. I want to know why she is this way, why this specific shadow became this way, because we know for a fact that this shadow broke off from the real collective of shadows, right? I don't know what to call it, but she definitely broke off of from Mother. She basically ran away and does her own thing, copies Ushio, gains the memories of Ushio, and now she believes that she is Ushio because, yeah, obviously she gets the memories. And we kind of talked about this in like the previous episode when we captured Shiori, and that is when Shadow Shiori says, "But I am Shiori. I have her memories, I have her bodies, and I have these powers. I'm Shiori, but more. I am a better version of Shiori, but I am still fundamentally Shiori in terms of memories, in terms of the brain, but not the soul," right? It's basically like, I guess one way to put it is like the idea of like transferring one's consciousness to like data, you know, like in all sci-fi movies and in all real life scenarios where you would have your brain data be transferred into artificial intelligence, right? Not that technology has reached that far yet, but it is kind of scary if you ask me. But it is the idea of, okay, if you have your consciousness be transferred into another object, in my example, data, right? A computer, then if your physical self dies, you still have your data self alive, your artificial intelligent side alive, your ones and zeros. It's still technically you, but obviously it doesn't have your own soul. And that's kind of like the issue that I'm finding here with Ushio and her shadow. Yes, Ushio's shadow does have the real Ushio's not really consciousness, but kind of as well, especially when it comes to like her memories, her personalities, basically everything that we know about Ushio from the outside is there, right? From an outsider's perspective, looking into Ushio and Shadow Ushio specifically, Shadow Ushio is a direct resemblance of the real Ushio. The difference is, Shadow Ushio obviously does not have the soul of the real Ushio, because she is not the real Ushio. She is a shadow, she is an imitation, she is a copy. But in this case, this shadow doesn't even know that this is a shadow. At least that's the vibe, at least that's what I'm interpreting right now. It's like a it's like a being that was just born into this world, a being that just came to be, that suddenly gained consciousness of somebody who is already alive and has pre-existing knowledge of the world, but because of this being never actually being alive in this world until like a few minutes ago, then it's still kind of figuring out their place in the world. They're figuring out who they are, figuring out their personality, but it's kind of hard for them considering the fact that on one hand they're trying to figure out their personality, and on the other hand they already have their personality because they copy it. I don't know, that entire this entire situation, this entire aspect of the show is the one thing that I find the most interesting of, especially in terms of like discussion and in terms of like how far the show and the story is going to explore that aspect, because it's definitely the most intriguing part, at least for me, and especially in terms of like how and what the story is trying to convey in its message, in its like overall again message. So Shadow Ushio messes around with the real Ushio, saying, "Hey, I'm the real Ushio," but no, you're not the real Ushio. Real Ushio kind of takes it in nonchalantly by going, "Oh, you're a shadow of me. Okay, sure. Okay, you want to come with me? Go ahead." I have a feeling that their interaction is a lot more in the manga than it is being shown in the anime, because it definitely feels like they are passing through a lot of development between them, which kind of sucks if you ask me. Like, I wish for more and I'm not getting more, unfortunately. Let me know in the comments if that is the case. But either way, they go on this little adventure to the mountains. Found a shadow. The shadow tries to copy Ushio again, and now there's 3 Ushios, and one of them is very, very terrifying, to say the least. That shadow is defeated, and from here, the Shadow Ushio kind of realizes that, oh shit, I am a shadow, and I remember all of my powers. And again, it does feel kind of rushed, and it does feel like there should have been more stuff in between to build up this moment. But either way, they finally bond with each other. They film the video. They tell Ushio that, hey, this is the plan. And now Shadow Ushio remembers everything from watching the video. Cool. Cool. They go back in time, sort of, kind of looking back into the memories of Shadow Ushio. And I guess that is her powers, or at least one of her powers. We see all of this stuff. We see how Shadow Ushio became the necklace. Let me see what the correct subtitles were saying. Yeah, I turned into her seashell necklace and had her wear me. I kind of want to read what she is saying next when it comes to Mio. She took off the real necklace and put her away in her pool bag. So the real necklace is in the pool bag. But then if I remember correctly, Mio gave the necklace that was worn by Ushio to Shinpei. But if that is the case, and Mio doesn't know that the real necklace is actually in her bag, then that means Ushio you know what? I'm not even gonna dive deeper into it. I'm just gonna accept the fact that that Mio gave Shinpei the real necklace, and because it doesn't make sense. Because if Mio gave Shinpei the necklace that Ushio wore when she died, then that means Mio is essentially giving Shinpei the shadow version of that necklace, which is the Shadow Ushio. And in the beginning episodes that could make sense, but then in later episodes it does not make sense, because Mio would then give that same necklace again to Shinpei, and then Shinpei would then give that necklace to the Shadow Ushio, who is also wearing the necklace. So forget everything I said. It's just convoluted time traveling nonsense. But we later on see Shiori disappears. She gets dragged in fact, into the ocean. Real Ushio comes in, dives deeper into the ocean, very deep. At this point, you should be crushed. You are like a couple of meters away. The pressure of the water would crush you immediately at this point, but it's fiction. Just gonna let it slide. But I'm just saying, if you are already dragged that low, you should be dead. You should be dead. The water pressure would have crushed you immediately. But we kind of see this small little action sequence of them kind of swimming and trying to get into the surface, which isn't really well created and well directed. Unfortunately, in my opinion, there's definitely a lot of stiff animation here throughout. Kind of see how we finally see how Ushio gets strangled and gets killed. And that's it. I'm gonna make you a promise. I'm gonna save everybody, including Shinpei. And she's not wearing the necklace here, obviously, because the necklace is... Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So we got a sad scene, which isn't really sad because there's no emotional impact in my opinion. So finally accepts the fact on how Ushio actually dies and finally sets off. Finally begins the journey, I guess. But then the mother comes in. Heine, of all people, is there. How? We don't know. What I do know is that obviously the mother has superpowers that we do not know of yet, but the fact that we are focusing more on both her eye and Shinpei's eye definitely means that she also has powers to go back in time, and maybe possibly okay, but possibly the reason why the mother or Heine is able to do this is because she can kind of sort of go into this realm through her other shadows. So in this case, because Shadow Ushio is the one who is initiating this power in the first place of like going back into the past memory, then maybe Heine, the real mother, can kind of use Shadow Ushio as like a means to get into that memory as well, kind of like a link in a way. That could be the case, maybe, because we did see her flying in the previous episode, or was it the episode before? But we definitely see Heine or the mother flying in one of the scenes in like an episode or two ago. So she finds out, she realizes this. Everybody's in shock. And she left a mark, and that is the end of the episode. Not my favorite episode, but still some of the story. There's definitely some significance in the story and the plot within this episode. I just felt like the episode isn't doing those plot beats justice at all. That's pretty much it for Summertime Rendering episode 9. I don't think yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed my reaction and my short discussion for Summertime Rendering. If you do, hit the like, subscribe as always. If you want to support me, you can head on over to Patreon. Links are also in the description. And I will see you all next week for the next episode of Summertime Rendering. Take care, guys.